at some point in time, that small bedroom, that's the small bedroom that he was in, right, at first?
Next to the master bedroom, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you didn't participate in any of the activities in that room, did you?
No.
It wasn't until after he's moved or went into the master bedroom that you entered, right?
Wait, could you ask that at the time?
Well, I'm not trying to suggest that you participated in anything, but when you entered and observed what was going on, it was when it was happening in the master bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And the period of time that this took, what are we talking about here? 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes? What between the small bedroom and the big bedroom?
Like how we transcended?
How much time passed between? How long was he in that small bedroom?
Only for about 5 minutes.
Okay. And did you observe anybody performing fellatio on him in that small bedroom?
No, sir.
Okay. And you didn't perform fellatio on him there, did you?
No, sir.
All right. And then he goes into the larger bedroom, correct?
Yes.
And that's when
I went downstairs after I left up.
so you go downstairs, right?
Yes.
All right. So you're not really observing what's happening in that bedroom, that master bedroom, right?
No, not at that moment.
Okay. So you didn't see Timothy performing fellatio?
Till I came back up there.
Oh, you did see Timothy
Yes.
perform fellatio.
Yes.
Did you see Brendan perform fellatio?
Brendan was downstairs. That's actually why I had went downstairs, because
Okay.
Brendan was downstairs also.
And Armon, did you see Armon conducting fellatio?
Yes.
And Brendan became upset that Armon was conducting or had
No, at the time.
performing fellatio, right?
No, at the time Brendan didn't know because he was downstairs. You know,
Okay.
but he didn't find out until he made the trip upstairs. And I really don't know why he went upstairs. I guess he heard noises because it was like really loud. So,
It was real loud, but there was a noticeable argument between Brendan and Armon, was there not?
yes. And prior to that,
And
prior to him walking in.
yes,
Yes.
and at some point in time, you get engaged in this as well, too?
Into the argument?
Yes,
Yes, like 10 minutes later, 10 to 15
10 minutes later. And at some point in time, between Brendan and Armon getting into it and you getting into it with Brendan, that's when you go into this master bedroom, correct?
No.
When do you go in?
The argument happened after the fact that after the fact that Brendan had walked in.
So it happened after.
Yes.
All right.
All of
When
that.
you went in that room, how much time did you spend in that room?
It felt like 20 minutes.
Lights are on or off?
Off.
It's dark in there?
It was dark, but I knew who was doing what. Yeah.
So you go downstairs, and is that where you engaged in this argument at?
So after Brendan had walked in and Armon ended up arguing, I had, in the midst of that, me and Paris and Tay and Timothy, we all just laughing at it because it was just funny. After that, Armon and Brendan, they stopped arguing. Brendan marched downstairs. The boy eventually, no, he was still in the room, and I went back upstairs to check up on Lance, because Lance was still in the room at the time, mind you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lance performed oral sex on him, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the thing I was confused about, this upper age man,
So you and Lance got into it, right?
No, me and Lance never got into
All right. But you were confused.
it. Yes, I was.
You were confused why?
No, I wasn't confused. I was just a little weirded out. This man, why is he even condoning him doing stuff with younger people? That's what I was more so weird. I was kind of young actually. But
How old is Lance?
Lance is older than 29, I believe.
And you just thought it was odd that a guy older than 29 would want to engage in this type of activity?
Yes. I mean, it's, yeah, just because we're young, you know.
And as soon as the oral orgy is what you called it, right?
Yes.
As soon as that oral orgy is over, Mr. Robinson leaves, right?
He's getting dressed, and yes, he walks downstairs. Lance stays in the room, and me and Lance stays in the room. I stay in the room for a split second to make sure, I guess, he looked like he was.
You stated in your statement of May 25th that the light-skinned male left right after the orgy was over. Isn't that right?
Well, he got dressed and left out, yes.
All right. So it's not like you went downstairs after this is all over and sat around a table with Mr. Robinson and the rest of the guys and had a drink and smoked some pot, right?
No.
He walked out, correct?
Yes.
And when he walked out, he didn't say anything to any of you, did he?
No.
He didn't threaten you in any way, did he?
No. But the look in his eyes
Sir.
was it?
Sir.
Mr. Keys, I'm going to remind you to only respond to questions that are posed to you, okay? It's not a problem. You just can't provide commentary whenever you want. You have to respond to questions that are asked of you.
Yeah, I asked that you strike the look in his eyes, please.
Yes, the court will strike the look in his eyes from the record.
You're not psychic, are you? No.
No, sir.
You're not a mind reader, are you?
No, sir.
After the defendant leaves, that's what, around 4 o'clock, right?
I'm not sure about the time. Could you ask that in a different way for me, please?
I'm sorry?
Could you ask that in a more different and understandable way for me? Because I really don't remember the time.
What time did the defendant leave?
I didn't pay attention to the time, sir.
You and your friends sat around the table drinking and smoking after he left, right?
Well, my friends actually went to go find my wallet that I had lost.
Not all of them, right?
Just Harris, Timothy, and Tay.
That
Me
left
and
you
Armon.
and who else sitting there?
Me and Armon, Lance and Brenda had left. Because you remember the altercation we just had spoke of about? Brenda was actually mad about that. So he was like, I'm ready to go home. So Lance ended up taking Brendan home.
So, who took Brendan home?
Lance.
Lance.
Yeah.
And is that during the period of time that the other guys are out looking for your wallet?
No, this is right before. So they kind of left out similarly at around the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you ever at that house alone?
No, sir. I was just with, like, Armon was with me at the house.
Alunte was there, right?
No, sir. Armon was.
Armon?
Yes.
Now, after they're gone 15, 20 minutes, they find your license, they come back, right?
Yes. With my wallet.
At that time, Lance isn't there, correct?
No, sir.
Right? You sitting talking, and you hear footsteps, right?
Yes.
And then you hear pow pow, you hear the shots of fire, right?
Yes, and during that time, we were thinking that it's Lance playing a joke, because, you know, Lance is, I guess, known as the jokey pokey type of guy, so they said, so we're all thinking it's Lance.
And as soon as these shots started being fired, you ran for the bathroom, correct?
No, sir, I was in 2-second shock. Everybody else started running around, though.
How long were you in shock?
2 seconds.
2
Well,
seconds.
it felt like a 2-second shot, like a second shot.
You didn't see the face of the shooter, did you?
No, but I got a good...
I'm asking, did you see the face of the shooter, yes or no?
No. But I did, no.
Sir, there's no question. You called 911, right?
Yes, sir.
You were asked, did you see who did the shooting? And responded, no, correct?
No, sir.
Can we play the 911 tape, please?
For the record, we're gonna be playing exhibit number 3, call 3.
Call 1, call on Saturday, May 25th, 2019, 4:59 and 44 seconds a.m.
Detroit 911, what is the address of the emergency?
Can you please have somebody come to this?
What's the address, ma'am?
3474.
What's the street name?
Necessary.
And what are your immediate front of car street? Hello, ma'am. What's going on at the location, ma'am?
No, I have a gay now. I apologize.
That's okay.
Somebody just came in inside of the house. And two of my friends are fatally wounded. It is 3474 Devonshire.
Okay, did you see? Sir, I was put the unit to the location now. Are there any injuries?
Yes, serious injuries, but you can get one here as soon as possible, please, please.
I request that, did you see who did the shooting?
So, I'm going to
Thank you. Did you hear that? That was your voice, right?
Yes, sir.
You told the truth to the officer, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
You didn't see who did the shooting, did you?
Yes, I did. I saw the reflection.
You just heard it on 911, right?
No,
That evening, sir, there were responding officers that came to the scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you talked to them before giving a written statement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were unable to give them an identification at that time, correct?
Yes, sir.
You didn't say, oh, Mr. Robinson, or a guy looking like Mr. Robinson came in and shot my friends, did you?
No, I did not.
Mr. Keys, can you lean forward so that you're speaking into the microphone for me, please? Thank you.
No, I did not.
On May 25th, sir, you were you also gave a written statement, correct?
Yes, sir.
And if you recall, you recall being asked and answering, what did the shooter look like, and responding, and then, what did the shooter look like, question, what was he wearing, and responding, I don't know, all black with a ski mask and a skull cap. Do you recall that?
Yes.
All right. You don't say anything about his eyes or his skin complexion at this time, do you?
No, sir.
On May 28th, you give another statement, correct?
Yes.
And at that time, now all of a sudden, you say, oh, the eyes, the complexion, correct?
Yes, sir.
At the preliminary examination of this cause, you gave testimony on about November 6th of 2019, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the prosecutor asked you all the questions she's just about asked you today, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And one of the things she asked is
I'm sorry, line and page, please.
page 51, line 20, 21, 22. All right, can you see the shooter? Do you see him shooting? Answer, I really don't look, honestly. Do you recall that, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is on November 6th, right?
Yes, sir.
Honestly speaking, you really didn't look at who was shooting, correct?
I glanced. Yes. A 2-second shot and glance, and then I ran.
What does I really didn't look honestly mean?
I glanced.
Means you glanced?
Yes, like I.
It doesn't mean you didn't look.
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
Is this
You don't have to worry about that, we have court recording.
Sir, when you first encountered Mr. Robinson, you didn't really pay too much attention to his physical features, did you?
I didn't pay attention to what he was wearing when I first saw him, but I did pay attention to his physical features.
When you talked about it back at the preliminary examination, you indicated, did you not, that you didn't pay that much attention to him that night. The only thing you remember is the baseball hat and jacket. Recall that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And what we saw on that video was not interaction between you and the defendant, but it was between Paris and the defendant, right?
Yes, sir.
You were driving the car, you were in the car, and you were conversing with the other occupants of the car, correct?
Yes, sir.
I have nothing further.
Redirect.
Blair, before we took a break, you were pretty upset. Is that correct?
Yes.
Would you like to address the jury?
Objection.
What's the point?
I think you should apologize to the jury for his behavior.
Okay, well, he's already apologized to the court, and so that's good enough.
Thank you. Why were you upset?
I just don't see why it's so hard to lock up someone that took my feelings.
I can't hear him, Judge.
Sir, I need you to lean forward and speak into the microphone.
I'm just really frustrated about me losing my friends, that's all. I didn't mean to take it out on anybody, it's just more so, like, I'm really frustrated. Really frustrated. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you all know what loss feels like. It's not the easiest thing to deal with. And I didn't, the last shot I
Objection,
did,
narrative, Judge.
Thank
Well, I
you.
think a question was posed and he responded to it, so it's the same. Any questions on redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Can you describe Lance's build for me? Lance's build, how he physically looks.
Really big, bald head, light-skinned guy with a beard and a mole.
Is he skinny or heavier set?
Heavy set, like really, really heavy set.
Okay. You testified earlier when you were being cross-examined by Mr. Callanan, he asked you some questions about Keene, and you had indicated that there were people running up and down the stairs laughing and joking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Who were they laughing and joking about?
If you know.
Devon.
The defendant in this case?
Yes.
Is this a small house or a big house?
It's a pretty big house, you know.
The stairs in relation to the bedroom, how far away do you think they are?
From the bottom of the stairs going to the room,
Yes.
the master bedroom,
Yes.
it would be pretty far,
When you say pretty far,
like far.
you have to walk up the stairs?
Yes, you
How
have to.
long would it take to get up the stairs?
3 minutes. Well, for me, 3 minutes. I don't know about
3 minutes to walk up a flight of stairs?
Because I run up the steps. Like if you run up the steps, it's 3 minutes. If you walk, it's about 5.
It's one flight, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go up the flight of stairs that night?
Yes.
Did it take you 3 minutes to go up the flight of stairs?
Yes.
I'm gonna time you.
Very athletic person.
All right, we're starting now. That's 15 seconds. Longer than that to get up the flight of stairs?
I mean, that's what it feels like. It's 3
Okay.
minutes. But if realistically speaking, like 5 minutes.
Okay, better. All right, so that night, you come in and they're going up and down the stairs, laughing and yelling. Everyone in that house except for Brendan.
Yes, Brendan is sitting downstairs, agitated for whatever reason.
Okay. All right, Mr. Callanan asked you whether or not the defendant threatened you before he left. And your answer was no.
No.
And you started to say, but the look in his eyes and you were cut off. What did you want to say?
The look in his eyes was like the look
Objection,
of like
speculation.
shame.
Well, can you lay a foundation?
Sure. Have you ever felt ashamed of something in your life?
I felt ashamed about a lot of things in my life.
Have you ever stared off into the distance before?
Yes.
Have you ever witnessed someone have a blank look on their face?
Yes.
Are you, as a person of average intelligence and common sense, able to tell if someone is happy or sad by the look on their face?
No, I wouldn't. Because, someone can have a mean resting,
All right. If you see somebody smiling, do you assume that they're happy?
No.
Not necessarily, right? Did you see the defendant in this case smiling when he left?
I wouldn't, no, I don't know.
You said you were looking at him and he had a look in his eye.
Like now or?
No, I'm talking about when he left. That's what
when
we're
he
talking
left,
about.
he didn't have a smile on his face. He didn't look satisfied at all.
When you called 911 and you were being asked about the identification of the shooter, you said that you didn't know. Is that correct?
Yes.
You testified earlier that you were hysterical on the day that you talked to the police,
Yes.
and you talked to them again a couple days later when you had calmed down,
Yes.
and it was at that time that you said his complexion was light,
Yes.
like the person that you had met in the store earlier.
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
Nothing.
Mr. Keys, you think you're excused. Will this witness be recalled?
No, Your Honor.
You think you're excused? Call your next witness.
People called Tiffany Brank, we're going to go out of order for a few witnesses.
Stand in front of the chair for me, please, and spell your first and last name for the record.
Tiffany Brank, BRANK.
Thank you. Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
May I?
Okay, just one moment. Ms. Frank, I'm gonna ask that you pull the microphone a little closer to you. And as you're speaking, please keep your voice up. If you feel like you need to lean in toward the microphone, please do so. We need to be able to hear what you're testifying to, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Madam Prosecutor.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Tiffany M. Brank.
All right, Ms. Brink, I'm going to take you back to May 24th, a Friday night, back in 2019. Do you remember that date?
Yes.
Why?
It's a long story, but, some people were outside partying on the side of my house that night.
All right, I'm gonna stop you. Do you live in the area of Haverhill Mac?
Yes,
Is that near Devonshire?
yes,
You encountered some individuals near your home that night?
yes.
Tell me about that.
They were outside partying, loud music, I ignored that. I have a 13-year-old daughter. 45 minutes went past, my 13-year-old daughter said, Mom, there's somebody outside doing something inappropriate. I go to my window, I say, can you please get off the side of my house? I have a 13-year-old daughter and my elderly aunt lives with me. One of them got smart with me and said, B, I'm grown, you grown, if you don't want to see it, close your window. I went back in my room, I grabbed my gun, went outside and did a warning shot.
All right, Ms. Brank, I'm gonna approach you with People's Admitted 25. I'm gonna ask you if you recognize this person.
Yes,
Who is that?
one of the people that were on site of my house.
For the record, People's 25 is a photograph of Paris. All right, you said that you got your gun and you fired it into the air.
Yes,
Did they leave?
yes,
All right. Did the police come and ever talk to you about this incident?
not until that next Tuesday.
And did you give them the firearm?
Yes,
And did you at some point receive it back?
yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
Thank you.
Prosecutor, ma'am, no. Defense attorney gets to ask you questions if he wants to, okay? Cross-examination, Attorney Callahan?
How many people were out on the side of your house that night?
4.
And you observed them in public performing sex acts
Yes,
and dancing nude?
yes,
And did you have any way, did they appear to be intoxicated to you?
yes.
Nothing further.
Correct?
When you say sex acts, what are you talking about?
They were outside twerking and bobbing and weaving.
Like dancing,
Yes,
acting crazy?
yes,
We're not talking about the actual act of sex.
yes.
Tell me what you saw.
Excuse my language, they were twerking and sucking dick on top of a car.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any additional questions based on that question?
No?
Okay, ma'am, you think you're excused?
People call Tialie Simpson.
Who?
Tialie Simpson. All right, we're gonna call Lance Atterberry.
Who?
Lance Atterberry.
Lance Atterberry.
Just a reminder that there is a mutual sequestration order. So counselors, I'm gonna assume that none of the people in the courtroom are witnesses.
That is correct.
Okay,
We are going back to Ms. Simpson, she is here.
okay.
Step in front of the chair for me, please. Spell your first and last name for the record.
T is in Tango, I is in India, A is in Alpha, L is in Lima, I is in India, E is in Echo, last name Simpson, S-I-M-P, S for man.
Thank you. Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I affirm.
Thank you. You may be seated.
You may proceed.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Tialie Simpson.
Do you know a person by the name of Brendan Settles?
Yes, I do.
Who is Brendan Settles to you?
My middle side, my second child.
Does Mr. Settles live here now?
No,
Where does he live?
I don't know.
Do you have a close relationship with Mr. Settles at this time?
No, I do not.
I'm going to take you back to May of 2019. Was there a time that you were informed that your son's friends had been involved in a shooting and that some of them had died?
Yes.
How did you find out about that?
Via Facebook Messenger, we communicate through Facebook Messenger.
We being you and your son Brendan.
Yes.
And going back to May 25th of 2019, did Brendan come to your home in the early morning hours, the same morning as you had been informed that there had been a shooting where some of his friends had been killed?
Yes.
Tell me about that, please.
What part?
When did Brendan come to your house? Tell me what happened when he came to your house.
I was asleep, it was the hours of the morning. He doesn't have a house key, so I had to open the door to let him in.
Does Brendan have a car?
No,
Did he have a car at that time?
no, he did not.
Do you know what kind of a car he arrived in?
When I opened the door to let him in, it looked like it was a black four-door Cadillac sedan. It was dark, so I don't really know exactly if it was black or blue or whatever.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
There was someone sleeping in the passenger seat. I couldn't really discern their features, but they were asleep.
Give me the general area of the city that you live in.
I live near McKenzie, where McKenzie High School used to be.
Do you live anywhere near Mack and Devonshire?
Now I'm on the west side of Detroit, near Dearborn.
Do you know about how far you would be from Mack and Devonshire?
Approximately 30 minutes.
So your son shows up early morning hours, the same day of the time that you were informed that there was a shooting involving his friend. He has a person in with him in the car. Do you allow your son to come into the house?
I do. I open the door and I let him in. He was. Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did you allow the other person that was in the vehicle to come into the house?
No, but he was asleep. Anyway, I don't let strangers in my house.
Does Brendan know that?
Yes.
You spend some time with your son?
Yes, we did.
Tell me about that.
We talked for some time, and he was telling me that he really wanted to just stay at home.
Objection.
Not offer for the truth of the matter, sort of just to show why this witness took the steps she did with her son Ahmet. No, you didn't.
No, ma'am.
Please continue.
Okay.
You can answer the question.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
You had some interaction with your son that evening. Could you tell me about that?
Yeah, I opened the door, I let him in. He was driving. So we had an exchange about that. He came into the room where he was staying at the time. I went in there and I sat down and we talked.
Did he stay?
No, he didn't stay because the person that was supposed to bring him home was not conscious. So they were out there for a while in the car, asleep while we were talking.
Did Brendan leave?
He did, because he wanted to go and take that person back home in their car, from my understanding, I think. It's been a year, so I'm not really 100% on the exact wording of how that happened.
But your son did leave?
Yeah, he did.
And he left with the person who was passed out?
Yeah.
Okay. Did something happen next that alerted your attention?
Yeah, he messaged me about what happened. I was all upset. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? I called another friend and was like, have you heard from my son? I want to know what's going on. So I think they tried to reach out as well to find out what was going on.
You were worried about the safety of your son?
Yes, because when he let me know what was going on, I didn't know if he was safe or what was going on.
And you were notified of this situation after he left your house?
Yes.
And that was to take the person back who was sleeping in his car?
That is correct. So I was scared.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination?
Do you know what time it was when he arrived home?
No.
Do you know a range of times between which he may have gotten?
It could have been between 2 and 4. I'm not sure exactly when.
How about between 4 and 5?
I already answered your question.
And when you hear the knock on the door, you answer the door and it's your son, right?
Yes.
And you see somebody asleep in the car, correct?
Yes.
And then your son leaves with that person in the car, correct?
Yes.
How long after he got home did he leave?
Oh, we had a great, good conversation for I don't know how long. So I'm not sure.
Still dark outside?
I would say so.
Did he tell you that he'd been in any arguments or fights that night?
He mentioned there was a lot of things happening in the house. I don't know exactly what was going on. He doesn't tell me a lot of things because he's a private person.
And were you, or had you been aware that he had been over at Lance's house?
I don't know the people's name whose house it was.
You don't know how many people were there, correct?
My
And you
son's
don't
a
know,
private person.
and you don't know what happened there, do you?
What do you mean, what happened there?
You don't know what happened at that house that he was at earlier in the evening, do you?
What happened?
Ma'am, it's a yes or no question. Do you
No,
know
I don't know
happened
what
at
he's,
the
I'm
home?
not, because he's so vague, I don't know what he's
The
saying.
question is, do you know what happened at the home that night?
I know somebody got murdered from what you guys are saying, I know that.
I have
Thank you. Anything additional?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, you thanked and excused.
We're gonna
Next
call
witness.
Lance Atterberry.
Good afternoon, stand in front of the chair for me, please, and spell your first and last name for the record.
LanceAtterberry.
Thank you, raise your right hand for me, please. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you, you may be seated.
Your Honor, may I have first witness? I'm gonna take a
You may.
second of that. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Lance Atterberry.
Mr. Atterberry, are you familiar with 3474 Devonshire in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
What is that location to you?
My home.
Is it still your home?
No.
You sold it?
I still own it. I just don't live there.
I'm going to take you back to May 25th, the early morning hours of a Saturday morning between 2 and 5 a.m. Were you at that location?
Yes.
Did you leave at some point with Brendan Settles?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Got in the car and went to sleep. And he drove the car home, I guess.
All right, let's back up. Had you been drinking that night?
Yes.
How much?
A lot.
Did you ever come into contact with an individual that your friends had picked up at a BP gas station?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I was downstairs at the table, woke up, went upstairs. I was actually just going to bed. I seen everyone in the room. Everyone was, messing around or whatever. I sat down.
Mr. Atterberry, did you participate that night?
I did.
With the oral sex that was occurring?
Yes.
Okay, with the stranger who came back from the BP gas
Yes.
station? All right. And after that happened, was there a disagreement in your house between Brendan, Armon, and Blair?
There was one between Armon and Brenda.
Was it a verbal altercation or a physical altercation?
Just verbal.
Do you know what they were fighting about?
It had to do with Armon being upstairs with us, and I guess him and Brandon were a couple.
Did Brendan want you to take him home?
Yes.
Were you able to drive?
No.
Why not?
I was too intoxicated.
Were you going to let Brendan take your car?
No, actually, I didn't think about that at all.
What kind of a car is it?
Cadillac.
So you went with Brendan?
Yes.
And did you drive or did Brendan drive?
Brendan drove.
Where did you sit?
Passenger seat.
And you passed out?
Yes.
Do you remember anything after that?
Just when I got back to the house.
So you come back to the Devonshire house at some point?
Yes.
When you come back to the Devonshire house after going with Brendan, did you sleep the whole time that you were with Brendan?
Yes, the entire ride.
And when you come back to your home on Devonshire, what do you see?
Police lights and caution tape.
Brendan's with you?
Yes,
Do you talk to the police?
I did.
Your cell phone that night, when you were gone with Brendan, where was it?
It was in the dining room.
In your house on Devonshire?
Yes.
Did you go with the police to be interviewed?
Yes.
Did you give them a buckle swab?
Yes.
Did you give them permission to look at your cell phone?
Yes.
Did you cooperate with them in any way you could?
Yes.
When you were done speaking with the police, did you come back to your house?
Yes, I did.
Was Brendan still there?
Yes, he was.
Did you take him home?
I did.
Thank you.
Cross-examination?
What time did you arrive at that residence that night?
That morning or?
Well, the evening of the 24th, going into the morning of the 25th, what time did you arrive at Devonshire?
You said the evening of the 24th. I think I left around 3 or 4. I don't know.
No, I want to know what time you got there.
What time I came back.
The witnesses testified it's his home.
Oh, this is your, that's, you know what, that's right.
Okay.
Excuse me.
It's okay.
I got both bearings in the water building. All right, so your home, there was a party at your home that night, correct?
Correct.
And were you there for the duration of that party?
Yes.
And how many people at any given time were there, if you know?
Say, in and out, probably up to 14 people.
All right, so, so let's say between 9 o'clock and midnight, people coming in, people going out, right?
Correct.
People drinking, people smoking, right?
Not everyone, no.
Not everyone, but people are drinking,
yeah,
people
yeah.
are smoking. Any sex acts going on during this period of time?
No.
Okay. But it's a party-like atmosphere, correct?
Correct.
And around 2 o'clock in the morning, on the 25th, did you didn't go to the gas station with
No.
Blair, did you?
No.
No? You were at the house?
Yes.
Okay. And when there came a point in time when Paris brought Mr. Robinson into the house, right?
Right.
Okay. And you saw that, correct?
I didn't know he was in there
You didn't know. When did you find out?
when I went upstairs.
Okay. And at the time that you went up there, were you already intoxicated?
Yes.
Did you see him leave?
Yeah, I believe it was him. Someone walked past me. I really wasn't paying attention because I was too into the conversation between Armon and Brenda.
So he left, well,
Just for the record,
Mr. Devon Robinson then left while the argument was ensuing between Brendan and Armon.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Other than the issue that you spoke of between Armon and Brendan, was anybody else having a verbal argument in that house?
No.
Did you see anybody else? You mentioned 14 people coming in and out. Was that during the sex act or before the sex act?
That was before.
Okay. During the sex act, do you know about how many people were there? Well, let's do it this
I'd say
way.
about 7.
Was Alunte there?
Yes.
You were there?
Yes.
What about Timothy Blancher?
Yes.
What about Armon Matthews?
Yes.
Blair Keys?
Yes.
And Paris Cameron?
Yes.
That's 6 people.
Okay.
And we did say Brendan Settles also, is that correct?
You didn't. Yeah.
Brendan Settles, okay. So there's total 7 people there during the oral sex, is that correct?
Correct.
Right. Those other people that Mr. Callahan was talking about coming in and out, those people have been there earlier in the night.
Yeah, earlier in the day.
Did you have any other arguments that you witnessed other than the one between Brendan and Armon that night?
No.
Thank you, nothing further.
You didn't see an argument between Blair and Brendan?
No.
Not at all?
No.
All right, nothing further.
Nothing further.
We thank you, excuse.
People call Armon Matthews.
in front of the chair, spell your first and last name for the record for me, please.
Armon, last name Matthews.
Thank you. Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I swear.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Armon Matthews.
Mr. Matthews, we're going to be going back to May 25th, early morning hours between 2 and 5 a.m., back May 25th, 2019, 3474 Devonshire. Are you familiar with that location?
I am.
Were you at that location on that date?
I was.
Why?
I was partying with friends.
Did you know Paris Cameron?
I did.
Who was Paris to you?
Paris is a good friend of mine, also an ex-lover of mine from when I was in 9th grade in high school.
Who is Alunte Davis?
Alunte Davis is a friend of mine that I met January of last year, and was also a friend of Timothy Blancher, who was a brother of mine through spirits. Just called him my brother. We went to DSA high school together.
What about Blair?
Blair is an ex of mine that I dated when I was in 10th grade in high school.
What about Lance Atterberry?
I met that guy that exact day.
Was that Lance Atterberry's house that you were hanging out at?
It was.
Brendan Settles. Who was Brendan Settles to you?
Brendan was also a guy that I was talking to for like a few days.
At the time,
That like the day, when I was going to the hotel and everything before we went to Lance's house. That was the first day I had seen that boy and everything. We weren't even really dating. We were more of talking. We weren't dating.
Okay. So you had some sort of relationship with him on May 25th?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to take you to 2:40 a.m. on May 25th. Did you go to a BP gas station with Alunte, Paris, and Blair?
I did.
Why?
We were going to get blunts and junk food.
Did you come into contact with the person who you know as Devon Robinson?
I did.
Did you see him in the courtroom today?
I do.
For the record, could you please indicate where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He's seated about 10 feet away from me. He's wearing a gray button down, and you have cornrows, white dress shoes. I have no clue what type of texture that is on them, and he's looking at me right now. We're making eye contact.
Let the record reflect that the witness identified the defendant in this case, Devon Robinson.
The record will so reflect.
Okay, Armon, did you know, and when I say no, had you ever seen Devon Robinson before this day?
Yes, I did. I used to go to Clark Preparatory Academy when I was younger, and I've seen him. Do I know him? No, but I've seen this man numerous of times.
Did you grow up in the area, in this area where you were hanging out?
Yes, I went to Clark Preparatory Academy.
Back on May 25th, did you live in this area?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I moved from that area when I got to about the 9th grade.
Why?
My mom wanted to leave. I explained to my mom that I wasn't comfortable being in that neighborhood anymore because of the sexuality and lifestyle that I had chosen. And I was embarrassed. And I just wanted to get away.
What do you mean? Were you embarrassed?
I was ashamed of what others had to say about my sexuality. I didn't love myself. But I was tired of that, tired of people talking about me, so I just moved.
So you are a gay male, is that correct?
I am a gay male.
All right, so back on May 25th, you go to this gas station, you encounter Mr. Robinson. What happens at the gas station?
Paris, actually, I stayed in the car. I looked out in the back and I seen Paris talking to him. After that, they got in the car, we goes to the house. I didn't even see him come.
Who's they, sorry?
Paris, Tay in Miami, Timothy, Alunte. They get back in the car and we go back to the house. I really didn't see the guy come to the house. I just looked up and he was in there.
Okay, so at some point you encounter the defendant in the house that you're hanging out on Devonshire.
Yes.
Where do you encounter him at?
I encountered him upstairs in a room where he was participating in an orgy with a transsexual and with other homosexuals that was in that room, and I participated, me being under the influence and curious.
Okay, so you participated with the defendant and others in that house that night?
I did.
All right. Did you have a discussion with Brendan about what had happened?
Brendan walked in. He walked upstairs and called us. And I was coming out the room actually. Weirdly, I had been coming out the room because I was so drunk. I got to vomiting. I don't know what that was about. Probably, I don't know. But I got to vomiting. And he's trying to start an argument. How could you do this or whatever? But that led us to arguing all the way from upstairs to outside. And
Was Blair involved in this at all?
Blair was involved. They argued a little bit, you know, it was no physical altercation or only words spoken.
So no one got into a physical altercation?
No.
It was all verbal?
All verbal.
Does Brendan stay at the house or does he leave?
Brendan left. Lance, the owner of that house, took Brendan home. I don't know how, you know, I don't know who drove which, but I know that was Lance's car.
You know that Lance and Brendan left?
I know that they left.
After they left, what happened?
When they left, we went back in the house, and mind you, I didn't see this young man leave, but before he left, he acknowledged everybody and everything, and he seemed really shook. Like he was, the energy I got off of him was not friendly energy. He gave off energy like, you know, like he was disgusted.
Did you say goodbye to the defendant at all?
I did. You know, I told him, you know, just take care of whatever. He said, oh, y'all, let's see me again. I didn't know what that was about. We'll see you again. I didn't know what that was about.
After the defendant left, what are you all doing in the house?
We waited for Lance and Brendan to come back, and we were chilling, talking about regular stuff, laughing, having a good time.
Had Blair lost his wallet earlier?
Blair did lose his wallet. But when we looked for it, we couldn't find it in the house, so Tay, Paris, and Timothy, they all went back to the gas station and found it and brought it back.
Is this after the defendant left the house?
This is after.
And when do they come back to Devonshire with Blair's wallet?
They do.
What are you doing now?
We're sitting there, and next thing, like literally, this is all we were doing was sitting there, and that's when the gunshots took place. I was in the dining room area. I really could not see the front door. Blair seen everything. When I seen the gunshots, I immediately, you know, first we were all, you know, we were like, what are they? Are they fireworks? But, you know, I grabbed Timothy and I rushed down to the basement, and I had him with me. When we were running down the basement, you know, he was saying something to me, and he immediately stopped talking. He grabbed my hand and put my hand where the bullet shot was, on his chest.
Indicating for the record your hand is on your chest.
Yes. And I held pressure. I ran back upstairs because I heard Blair screaming. I ran back upstairs to make sure everything all right. I seen Tay and Paris curled up in the corner. I called 911. I stayed on the phone with 911. I ran back downstairs. I held pressure on Miami because he was still breathing. Timothy. He was looking at me, and I held pressure on him. And I stayed on the phone until the cops got there. When the cops got there, she put her gun to my face, made me take pressure off of Timothy. And in my belief, that is when he really lost his life. Because once I moved my hands off his chest, the blood was rushing a lot faster than what it was. And she put her gun to me, told me to put my hands up and all this extra stuff. And I did what she said because I didn't want her to shoot me, you know.
Armon, you said that you called 911.
I did. And I stayed on the phone until she got there. While she was there, I believe, you know, I think I was talking to her on the phone. Like the phone was still on while she was there, you know, pointing the gun at me and everything.
Armon, you've had the chance to listen to your 911 call, is that correct?
I did.
Mr. Callahan, this has been marked as exhibit number 3. We're going to take call number 2 from that exhibit unless there's an objection from the defense.
May I make published?
Call 1. Call on Saturday, May 25th, 2019, 4:59 and 13 seconds a.m.
Detroit 911, what is the address of the emergency? Detroit 911, what is the address of the emergency?
Could I want one, please? Get emergency. Somebody just came in and shot my friend.
Okay.
An ambulance, please. An emergency ambulance. 16760 Winthrop. I mean, no, not Winthrop. Oh my God.
Take a breath and tell me where you are.
I don't want to be trying to look through this. Well, somebody else is calling right now.
Okay, sir. Get in the house.
Yeah.
Please tell me where you are, sir.
3474 Devonshire. 3474 Devonshire. Please hurry up, please. Emergency ambulance. Please stop on that. People are shouting. They're not moving. Please wake up, y'all.
Listen to me. You gotta take
Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen to me. This is the address. It is 3474 Devonshire. 3474 Devonshire. three. 31 here, 347 sorry, 3 here. Oh, so listen to me. Are you near any of the patients now? Are you near anyone? No. Okay, yeah. Okay, who are you near? I mean, just tell me what's going on with that person that you're near. Is that a male? Hold on, one moment. Oh, sorry. He's just breathing really hard. Please come on, y'all. There we go. Listen to me. They are requested to where you are. Okay, the person that you're with now, how old is that patient? Everybody's not saying the 20. He's how old, sir? 16 to 20, 19 to 20. I know. You guys are 20 years old. You guys are 20 years old. 20 years old. Is he awake? 20 years old. Is he awake? No, he is awake, but he is Miami. Listen to me. Listen to me. I have been requested, but I need you to help me. Breathing. Yes, I mean, they're awful. He's breathing? So where is he shot? Breathe. Tell me where he's shot. Shot in the chest. Shot in the chest now. Now, listen to me. They are requested. Okay, you gotta stay with me. I'm sorry. Stay with me now. I'm really sorry. Okay. Do I feel happy? They are requested, but you gotta help him, okay? So I need you to say, oh, what you can. I gotta get you to say down as calm as you can, okay? I have been requested, police and EMS. But I need you to do everything else. No, don't. That's not how I do everything else. Don't listen up, sir. When did this happen? Do you know where this happened? It happened. Okay, so anyway, is the attacker still nearby? There's nobody nearby. I don't know where the attacker is. I call 911. Listen to me. Is there any fluid bleeding? Yes, they're all bleeding around. Listen to me. Is you completely alert? Is he completely alert, sir? Is he responding to you and I don't think my brother is breathing no more. Like, what the fuck? Listen to me. I'm breathing around, breathing. You want to put a punch on his chest? You have to calm down. Is he responding to you? I'm sorry, because if he was every time I say he's breathing, he goes, no. Well, no, he's not moving. Okay, listen, they've been requested. Okay, there's more than one road. There's one with but I don't see another one. I see one little shot. Okay, I'm the paramedics. I'm sitting them and stay around me. I'll tell you exactly what's going on. I'm going to tell you how to stop the bleeding. Listen carefully and make sure that we do it right. Get clean right across the towel and place it right on the road. Press down firmly and don't lift it up to look. Can you go do that for me now? Can you do something about the bleeding? Get a clean, dry cloth of towel. I'm on the dry towel, clean dry towel. Sir, stay with me. Okay, I need you. Are you able to get the clean, dry cloth of towel and press down? So do you have it? But now, in the name of Jesus, I pray that you really place your hands on my step all. Place your hands on us and cover us with the blood from the crown of our heads to the sole of our feet. In the name of God, do. Amen. Sir, do you have that cloth in your hand? Sir? Sir, can you hear me? Yes, ma'am. Okay, do you have the cloth? Are you applying pressure to the wound? Okay, is the bleeding controlled now? Oh. Your phone is breaking up. Is the bleeding controlled now? I don't know because I'm just holding my hand. I don't know. He's breathing. Okay, when you're feeling the help is on the way, okay? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay, and now whoever you said that there's 2 more people in there. Now that's the males, the other 2. Are they males or females? They're all males, yeah. I don't know what they said. I really think the neighbor did this. Why would you think that, sir? What's going on? I just don't know. It was too close. It was too close. I'm right here. I'm on pressure on Miami. Oh my God. Oh my God. No, listen, I'm still on the line with you. I'm not hanging up until I was there. Everything you told me to do. I'll do everything you told me to do. You keep applying pressure, sir. And if something happens and it bleeds through that towel, put another on top. Do not wait for that to look at it. Just put another towel on top of it and hold it down. We do have police and EMS en route to that location for you, sir. If there's someone else inside the home to help you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, to make it right, police to them. Anybody there all my boys. The patient, sir, the patient that you're with, what is his name? It's what, sir? Your phone's breaking up. His name is Timothy. What's his last name, sir? I really don't know. I think it's Blancher. Frazier? Blancher, B-L-A-C-H-E-R. Okay, I'm still on the line with you. Now, the other 2, do you know their names as well? Yes, one name is Paris, and the other name is Alunte. I don't know his name. One name is Paris, and one name is Alunte. I don't know their last name. Okay, now the other 2, is there someone helping them? Yes, there's someone helping them. Okay, now they're arriving on scene, sir, so you're going to hear someone coming down there with you. Okay? Somebody come on, let's go in the basement! I'm in the basement! There's someone in the kitchen! I'm in the basement! Yes! One is down, I'm holding pressure! Okay, now do I hang up? I just have to hang up with me until they're right with you. Yes, ma'am, please hurry. I'm sorry, ma'am. No, ma'am. Have they come down there with you, sir? Oh, my God. Please help me. Please hurry, Cookie Holly. Yes, ma'am. It's my flashlight, by the way, for my phone. It's pressure. You have to apply pressure. Yes, ma'am. That's the phone. No, it's my brother. Yes. Over there. I don't know. We're sitting down and the guy came in already. We don't know. This is my friend outside. I thought that was going up in the back. He just took someone home. Oh my God. Okay, sir, I'm going to hang over to you now. It's the whole cooker. Yeah.
Armon, you said that the police came in and they pointed guns at you? And
Yes.
At that point you complied and took your hands off of Timothy?
Yes.
What happened next?
I was escorted out the house and put in the police car.
Did you talk to the police about what happened?
Yes.
Did you comply with all their requests?
I did.
Did you give them a buccal swab,
A who?
a DNA sample?
I believe they took one. I don't know. They probably did. I don't remember.
They asked you to do something, did you do it?
They did.
You approach the proposed exhibit 13 and 14, showing Mr. Callahan. Showing proposed exhibit number 13, do you recognize the stairs?
Is that a yes?
What are those?
Those are basement stairs to Lance's home.
The basement stairs in Lance's home? Move for the admission of 13.
Any objection?
Objection.
People's Exhibit 13 is admitted.
May I publish?
You may.
Armon, could you describe where the entrance for these stairs is in relation to where you were seated when the shooting started?
Okay. Where's the...
I'm gonna give you,
Okay, well, I guess if you would come back up the stairs, you're going back up this way. The dining room, it's a little wall right there. You know, we go behind the wall, the dining room. Something like that. When you go to the dining room, you know that little wall right there. When you're coming up those stairs from that side, you know, it's a wall right there, a long wall. You know, once you get in the dining room, it's a long wall right there, so you can't see anything on that side. So I was sitting in between, I guess, the stairs, the basement stairs and the kitchen. I mean,
I'm gonna show you exhibit 8, if we could put exhibit 8 up, please. Armon, would you look at the screen, please? This is where you were seated when the shooting started?
I was over more where you see that blue line coming down. I was a little more over there behind the wall sitting down.
And you and Timothy ran towards the basement, if you could indicate.
Timothy was sitting in that last chair right there, I believe, because, you know, I was able, you know, to pull him toward me.
And running towards the basement, where would the basement door be in relation to this table?
That table is there, the basement door would be kind of going down that way to where.
Thank you.
Excuse me. I really don't know how to do this with the whole picture not there. But if you would move up some this way, I guess that's the den right here on next to this room, or the kitchen. And next to the kitchen is the staircase to the base room. And that's where we ran down. It was like right next to where that blue line is.
Should close exhibit 14.
I don't know, I see it.
Can you describe what's in that photograph, please?
That looks like Timothy.
Where did he pass away?
He is in the basement.
Is this the basement?
Yeah,
Hold on, I'm gonna ask you to take a look at the photos.
yeah, that's the basement.
And that's where
I
you,
don't.
that's where you were with him?
Yes, that's the basement. That's the basement.
Move for the minutes 14.
Any objection?
May I publish, Your Honor?
People's 14 is admitted and you may publish.
Thank you. The record 14 is where Timothy passed away.
Yes.
The officers that you encountered in the basement of Devonshire, one of them was a female, is that correct?
I beg your pardon?
One of them was a woman. The officers that responded to the scene. They,
Yes.
Thank you, I actually need you to say yes and not shake your head. It's okay, I understand.
that was not Detective Williams, is that correct?
I don't know who was Detective. I don't even know if that was
The
her.
lady seated at the table.
No, that was not Miss Wonderful Detective. She's a sweetheart.
Thank you.
Probably wouldn't do that.
One moment. Nothing further of this witness.
Cross-examination.
So you grew up in this neighborhood, correct?
Correct.
And, you had seen the defendant, but you didn't really know him, correct?
Correct.
And when he arrived at the house on Devonshire that night, did you have any contact with him before he went in?
No, I did not.
Okay, once he goes in the house, you sit in the car with Blair, right?
Once who goes in the house?
Once Mr. Robinson goes in the
I
house.
didn't even see that man enter that house. I
You
don't know
didn't?
when he got in the house.
You don't know how he got in the house, right?
No, I do not.
Okay, but you sat in the car with Blair, correct?
While they were in the gas station, my parents was talking to him, I sat in the car.
All right, and there came a point in time when you got back from the gas station that you and Blair sat in your car, smoked some weed together, and then,
We probably did, but again, I did not see this man enter the house.
I'm not asking whether he did, I'm asking whether you sat in his car with him
Oh,
on
The
that
testimony,
occasion.
Counsel, the testimony was that was Lance.
Lance,
Mr.
all
Keys,
right.
yes, Mr. Keys testified that he was in the car with Lance.
Okay, confusing people again. Now, so you didn't see the defendant go in, how long was, do you know what time it was
I do
approximately?
not. I do not have any track of any times. I do know the time frame was when I called the police. You can estimate it from that moment though.
Right. And, once you had, you were the last person to be with the defendant, correct?
Excuse me?
Were you the last person to be with the defendant upstairs?
No, I left out arguing with somebody.
Okay, so when he left,
I did
he
not
was
see him
arguing.
leave.
You were arguing with somebody
I
by the
was.
time he left, okay? And when you called 911, you said somebody just came in and shot my friends, right?
I did.
You didn't say who, did you?
I did not.
And, in fact, in your prior testimony, you've indicated that you didn't see the individual shooting, did you?
I did not.
That's because the wall was in the way, correct?
Correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
Nothing further on.
So you thank them excused.
Judge, can we close for just a second?
You may.
I'm sorry,
You're
Armon.
approaching.
Yes.
You're approaching, please, quickly. We are back on the record. Prior to the people calling their next witness, we're going to take about a 10-minute break, give the jury an opportunity to stand up and stretch a little bit. Okay? So we're adjourned. 10 minutes.
All right, let's go to jury.
All right.
Yeah, you can tell her it's ready, but if she wants to find out, she has to wait for the morning for the whole night. I don't know how to do that. I don't know
Back on the record on People versus Devon Robinson, appearances please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. May it please the court, Jamie Powell-Hurwitz for the people, B67466.
Evan Callahan on behalf of the defendant, Your Honor, B30564.
And Mr. Robinson, please state your name for the record.
Devon Robinson.
And you be ready to call, your people ready to call the next witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
And we can bring the jury out.
All right, let's go to jury. Please be seated and remain quiet.
Prosecutor, call your next witness.
We'll call Officer Ferizoeic.
Good afternoon, stand in front of me, please, spell your first and last name for the record.
A-H-M-E-T. Last name F-E-R-I-Z-O-V-I-C.
Thank you, raise your hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You may be seated. Officer, are you still with the DPD?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any reason why you're not dressed out for court? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Madam Prosecutor?
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please state your name for the record.
Ahmet Ferizoeic.
Where are you employed?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Detroit Police Department.
How long have you been with Detroit Police Department?
2.5 years.
Where are you currently assigned?
5th Precinct.
Were you working back on May 25th of 2019 around 5 in the morning?
Yes, ma'am.
In what capacity were you working?
Patrol officer.
Did you have a partner?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was your partner at the time?
Lawrence Blackburn.
Did you respond to a run at 3474 Devonshire in the city of Detroit?
Yes, ma'am.
For what purpose?
It came initially as a shots in progress.
And you responded with your partner?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in full uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
Your squad car was marked?
Yes, ma'am.
Did anybody else respond with you?
There was other units that responded.
Multiple units?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened when you got to the residence?
When I approached the residence, I was met by Mr. Keys at the front door of the residence.
And did he direct you somewhere?
He stated there's 3 people shot inside the location.
And what was his demeanor when you encountered him?
Frightened, confused.
You went into the location?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you do that?
I drew my weapon at low ready and I went inside
Why?
to secure the location, make sure there's help the victims and make sure that the offender was still not at the location.
Did you know if this was an active, ongoing situation or if it was over?
I treated it as an active situation. I didn't know that it was over.
What happened when you entered the house?
When I entered the house, I had my weapon at low ready. I started clearing the location. I started walking through the living room, made my way towards the rear of the location. And that's when I observed Mr. Davis and Cameron laying on the floor in the dining room area, covered in blood.
You encountered two bodies in the living room area?
Correct.
Can you describe what the house was?
The house was being remodeled. Seems like there was some construction being done inside the location.
So you encountered two bodies. Where else did you go?
I immediately notified dispatch. There's a confirmed shooting. There's victims, and for EMS to make the scene.
Did you go to the basement?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
I heard commotion coming from. I heard noises coming from downstairs in the basement.
So what did you do?
Still with my weapon at low ready, I went down to the basement. Had my flashlight on. That's where I observed. Mr. Matthews with his hands in the air. When I heard the noises, I told the person, keep your hands in the air, because I didn't know if it was still an active situation or not. I observed Mr. Matthews there with his hands in the air, and I also observed another victim laying on the floor, Mr. Blancher.
Was there a female officer with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Who was that?
Officer Janelle Thomas.
Did you ever have contact with Paris Cameron's body?
Physical contact or just visual?
Did you check to see if she was still alive?
I did not, but other people have.
Was an ambulance called for her?
Absolutely. As soon as I made the location and observed her on the floor, I notified dispatch and I got an EMS rolling. There was an EMS stage not too far.
So Paris Cameron was taken from the scene by ambulance?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you stay on the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you speak with Clifton Blair Keys at all? Or did you speak with the two individuals that were survivors?
Yes, yes.
And were they able to identify at that time the person who had done this?
No.
Did you encounter at some point Brendan Settles and Lance Atterberry on the scene?
Yes.
Nothing further, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Two individuals that you talked to were Mr. Keys, right?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Armon Matthews?
Yes, sir.
And neither one of them could describe the shooter to you, could they?
That's correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
You're thanked and excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Can we get another witness in before we end for the day?
We could start the officer in charge of the case. We have a video that runs about a half an hour that we can start with.
I'd rather not do that. Go ahead and break for the day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to break for the day. I'm going to allow you all to go into the jury room, grab your belongings. I'm going to ask that you are back here tomorrow at 9:30 promptly. I do appreciate everyone being here this morning on time, actually early. I do appreciate that. So, as I indicated yesterday, you're so important that we cannot start without you. So we need all of you here at 9:30 so that we can begin promptly. As I indicated previously, you may not discuss this case with anyone else, no one in your family. Please do not do any research on this case. Do not look on the internet to find out any information about this case. You may not speak with any of the other cases as well. So, all rise for the jury, please. Okay, counselors, are there any matters that we need to handle outside of the hearing of the jury?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you, we're adjourned for the day. Can I see both of the attorneys?